If you think men and women are equal, then you think women should be drafted, right? No, I don't. I don't think women should be drafted, and I don't think men should be drafted either. Who's gonna fight the war then? Nobody.
If you don't fight in a war, you just lose automatically. There's just no point of that. You've just pretty much forfeited if you said you don't go to a war.
I don't think we should have wars.
It's not an individual country's decision to really make a war. One country could initiate it, however, it's not their individual choice, because then you could just start a war at any time, really. But there has been many conflicts, like Ukraine. You might think maybe Russia just started the war on their own. No, there was many conflicts beforehand, especially in like all the Slavic countries. They're trying to take all of them. They're starting with Ukraine, and Russia's just the one that initiated it. You so you can't just say not to have wars because that's not just one country's decision. They just don't fight, then there's no war. No, you lose now, and a lot of times they just have situations where there's no way to resolve these things peacefully, so they just have to get rid of the other country that's in their way.
And before you're like, oh, that is so stupid, like, I really truly believe it is never deep enough to have a war. I think war is immature. I think we should start talking to each other like adults.
I'd say a lot of fights, especially like being put into a war, would be pretty mature, right? Look, talking about it, your whole family is gonna be held hostage the moment you try to talk to the Tsar of Russia about some sort of conflict. Imagine going to Germany. Hitler, I don't think it's a good idea to kill people for not being purely white. You know, I hear you, you're getting killed off. That's not even a war at that point. You're just getting killed off right there for trying to talk about the slightest thing.
And I feel like if you are a world leader who is upset about, for example, like the border of your country,
A lot of people just can't agree on anything. And a lot of times you have to, like, you can't find a civil agreement. That's why they have to fight with some people. A lot of times fighting doesn't even just mean war. And plus, people become leaders because of the borders. You're supposed to worry about the borders of your country. If you make it bigger, then your people can live a better life and you have more land and you can even have more resources for that. The whole point for them is to be worrying about their country's borders if they're ruling their country. They're thinking about the country. That's why they're there. It's for the country. So that's why they think of the land borders. It's important to think about for them.
and you can't come to a civil agreement, you shouldn't be in charge of a country.
The fuck you mean we all just agree not to have wars? There's always gonna be some sort of person with a disagreement, and they're like, not everyone's gonna agree on that, because they can't agree on like the simplest of things. They can't agree on like a type of government, a type of religion. And those two things actually cause a lot of wars too. There's like, okay, before we get to the big one, let's start agreeing on some other stuff. What? Um, so before we get to agreeing on stopping war or not, let's just say, it's like, who's here for capitalism? And immediately a war breaks out. They cause wars because of disagreements. So there's just gonna be a disagreement on if they should do wars or not. And even that's something that won't even cause a war, probably. That's just a normal dispute. And that won't get resolved still. Because a lot of situations, that's like the very last choice. And so, they just, like, that's the last option, though. That's the only thing they can do to resolve any sort of problem. It's just whoever is left, then their idea goes through and they take the land. Like, they've tried to resolve it in other things, and when they can't get to other things that could help, they're not able to reach that yet. They have to resort to war because that's the very next thing. You can't just have all of them agreeing on that, because that's what causes a war.
If somebody needs to get shot over that, you are not good at your job. I think if we all just grow up and decide, hey, we should stop having wars, things would go a lot better. Nobody wants to get shot, and yet we're still shooting. Let's not do that.
That is terrible reasoning. No one wants to get, well, some people do, but if someone's like in a battlefield, they don't want to get shot. And there's a couple of reasons that there could be, like life, to keep fighting, stuff like that. No one wants to get shot, but some people want to keep shooting. They have to keep shooting. Do you just expect people to somehow just? Because like, if two people start a war because of the fact they have different ideas, it's not just like not all the soldiers can just go on strike. And so if they're all shooting, every single person there misses, and then there's just no more ammunition between those two countries, and then there's just nothing that can happen. Now no one's gotten shot because no one even wanted to. The two leaders can't just go, oh, well, that's settled then. No, they had different ideas, and they can't just live with each other, thinking about, just knowing about the different ideas. That's why they started the war in the first place. And a lot of people get shot without the wars. Just like in the office, they think, oh, we'll just go through those doors. Oh, they're gonna do that for just a slightly different idea. That and not many people would want to get shot when they're doing something. Imagine in that is a lot of things with wars. You could technically just put that up to self-defense, because everyone's shooting at everyone. They're all shooting at you. They're all shooting at the people you're working with. If there's just like a criminal going up to you, and then he tries to stab you, he doesn't want to get shot. He wants your money or to kill you. So you shoot him in self-defense because you have a firearm on you. That's legal over here. And then he didn't want to get shot. Is that very immature to shoot him using the laws and your Second Amendment? I'm pretty sure it is that like an adult would know about that stuff. I'd say that's pretty mature to be using that. It's pretty mature to go to war and fight, self-defense, shoot, stuff like that. Yeah, especially since the adult is the one that has the firearms. So I'd say that by default that is pretty mature. Unlike the things you said earlier, saying that it's immature. People have to get shot in certain scenarios.